DFDS. DFDS is a Danish international shipping and logistics company. It is the busiest shipping company of its kind in Northern Europe and one of the busiest in Europe. The company's name is an abbreviation of Det Forenede Dampskibs-Selskab, literally the United Steamship Company. DFDS was founded in 1866 when C.F. Tietgen merged the three biggest Danish steamship companies of that day. Although DFDS has generally concentrated on freight and passenger traffic on the North Sea and to the Baltic Sea, it has also operated freight services to the U.S., South America, and the Mediterranean in the past. Since the 1980s, DFDS focus for shipping has been Northern Europe. Today, DFDS operates a network of 25 routes with 50 freight and passenger ships in the North Sea, Baltic Sea, and the English Channel under the name DFDS Seaways. The rail and land-based haulage and container activities are operated by DFDS Logistics. History. The beginnings, 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 beginnings. Det Forenede Dampskibs-Selskab was formed on 11 December 1866 as a merger of the three biggest Danish steamship companies under the leadership of Danish financier Carl Frederick Tietgen. Operations began on 1 January 1867 with 19 ships with Copenhagen as the main starting point. The company's routes at the time were from Denmark to Norway, the Baltic, Belgium, the United Kingdom, Iceland, and the Faroe Islands, with ships carrying both freight and passengers. As the company grew, new connections were opened to Sweden, France, the Mediterranean and Black Sea, as well as North America and South America. In addition, DFDS operated various domestic services in Denmark. After continued expansion of the fleet in the 1880s, DFDS became one of the world's 10 largest ship-owning companies. After the takeover of Dampskibs-Selskabet Thingvellet in 1898, the Scandinavian-American Line was established. A long relationship with shipbuilder Helsingers Jernskibs Obmaskin Byggeria/S Elsinore Shipbuilding and Engineering Company began with delivery of the 1386 GRT steamer Arno in 1898. The last ship Helsingers delivered was Dana Minerva, a 1599 GRT roll-on/roll-off ship in 1978. The Scandinavian-American Line continued trading to the United States until 1935. The two world wars. First World War. The First World War took a heavy toll on DFDS fleet, with 26 ships lost. During the post-war depression, a further 30 ships were laid up. The company revived with the establishment of new routes, and by the mid-1920s, DFDS's fleet consisted of 124 ships, with a combined tonnage of 233,364 GRT. Second World War. The Second World War saw further losses to the company, with 9 ships lost before the German invasion of Denmark in April 1940. A large number of DFDS ships fell into British hands after the German invasion, and they were used as troopships. German forces commandeered a total of 21 DFDS ships during the war. One DFDS ship, the Kronprinz Frederick, was under construction when the war began. To prevent her usage by the Germans, vital engine parts were lost, only to be discovered after the end of the war. Ships, representing about a fourth of the total Danish tonnage, sought refuge from seizure by belligerents in neutral ports. Those ships sat idle with orders not to depart neutral ports and for their seamen not to sign on with other ships. In the United States, orders for their seizure were issued on 30 March 1941, and 40 ships were seized and placed under the control of the War Shipping Administration, which registered most in Panama for diplom. Several were assigned to either the U.S. Army or Navy. 2 of the DFDS ships are examples. Sicilian became the U.S. Army transport Sicilian, which was sunk by torpedo in June 1942. Tunis survived the war as USS Aquila It came in as 47 and was returned to Denmark with the other surviving ships after the war. In total, DFDS lost 31 ships during World War II, with a further 3 ships lost due to hitting mines after the end of the war. In 1948, 48 people drowned when Kjøbenhavn hit a mine. 5 people lost their lives in the mine explosion of Ivar in 1949, and as recently as 1950, Frigga sank without loss of life after having hit a mine. To replace some of the lost ships, a number of almost completed motor ships, which had been laid up awaiting the end of the war, were made ready. Gradually, the routes that had been discontinued since the beginning of the war were reopened. Between the wars, DFDS created a sensation when they launched the world's first motor-driven short-sea passenger ship in 1925 from Helsingør's Dampskibs-Selskab Vigorius/S. The first of 4 sister vessels built between 1925 and 1932, the MV Parkesten 2762 GRT made her maiden voyage from Esbjerg to Harwich on 8 October 1925 at an average speed of 16.5 knots, burning 18 tons of oil per day compared with 55 tons of coal. The shipyard had in 1924 completed and delivered the DFDS ship Odense, a diesel passenger cargo ship of 550 GRT. After completing Jylland in 1926, sister of Parkesten, DFDS took delivery in 1927 of the 1854 GRT Dronning Alexandrine. The series of 2762 GRT ships was completed with Esbjerg in 1929 and England in 1932. The next DFDS ship delivered by Helsingør's after England was the first of 4 motor cargo ships, Tunis delivered in 1936. The 50s and 60s. In 1950, DFDS was one of the first to introduce a door-to-door solution. 2 ships were specially designed to transport small wooden containers. DFDS commenced a new service linking Danish mainland to Greenland. This was discontinued in 1959. In 1957, Norfolk Line cargo service Gulf of Mexico Mediterranean began. For the first time in DFDS's history, the company played the role of cross-trader. 1964 saw the introduction of the first ro-ro passenger ferry when MS England entered service on a route connecting Esbjerg to Harwich. In 1965, the Transport Rationalization Department, which later became DFDS Transport, began its activities. MS Akershus, the first real passenger and car ship which could also take trucks and trailers, was entered into service on the Frederikshavn-Oslo route. In 1966, 100 years after its start, the DFDS fleet consisted of 13 passenger ships, 53 cargo vessels, 4 tugboats, and 39 barges. A comprehensive new ship program commenced, with 25 ships on order. The passenger ships served on routes connecting Denmark to Norway, the UK, Faroe Islands, Iceland, and Finland, though the Finland service was discontinued in 1966 alongside domestic services. The freight services continued, linking Denmark to the Americas and various European and Mediterranean ports. Botnia, the last steamship, was sold after more than 50 years of service. DFDS was no longer a steamship company. Between 1967 and 1970, 4 identical car passenger ferries, originally named MS Kong Olav V, MS Princess Margaret, MS Aalborgus, and MS Trekroner, entered service on the Copenhagen-Oslo and Copenhagen-Aalborg routes. However, the Copenhagen-Aalborg service was closed that same year in 1970. The 70s and 80s. The 90s. In 1989-1990, the tonnage on the Oslo-Copenhagen route was renewed with the entering into service in June 1990 of Queen of Scandinavia, a ship with a capacity of 2,000 passengers and 400 cars. Queen was followed, in 1994, by Crown of Scandinavia, with a similar capacity. In 1999, DFDS took over Dan Transport Holding, including the Dan Transport Travel Bureau and Canal Tours Copenhagen. However, 17 months later, the whole transport division, named DFDS Dan Transport Group, was sold to Transport Group DSV, and the focus was once again on the former core business activities, ro-ro liner traffic and passenger shipping on overnight routes. As of 2000, in June 2001, the deal to acquire a 76.4% shareholding in the Lithuanian shipping company Lisco was finalized. Lys Line Redurias and Lys Line as were taken over 100% by DFDS in 2005. In August 2005, DFDS purchased 66% of the trailer forwarding company Hallens in Belgium. In 2006, DFDS acquired the container shipping company Norfolk Line Containers. In 2010, DFDS purchased Norfolk Line from Maersk. In 2010, DFDS sold DFDS Canal Tours because it was not regarded as a core activity. Current operations. DFDS Seaways is the shipping division of DFDS/S operating a network of 25 shipping routes with 50 freight and passenger ships on the North Sea, Baltic Sea and the English Channel. DFDS Logistics operates land transport and logistics activities including the former DFDS Lys Line and DFDS Container Line. Below is an overview of the shipping activities that are integrated in the DFDS group. Acquired activities now integrated in DFDS. DFDS Tor Line. DFDS Tor Line was the main freight carrying division of DFDS. It operated a large number of ro-ro freighters on the North Sea as well as the Baltic Sea. It was formed as merger of DFDS and Tor Line's freight operations after DFDS bought the latter in 1982. Until 1988, the passenger service between Sweden and the United Kingdom was also Ma. The operation of DFDS Tor Line were integrated into DFDS following the acquisition of Norfolk Line in 2010. DFDS Lisco. DFDS Lisco was a Lithuanian subsidiary acquired by DFDS in 2001. It operated 5 lines with 7 ferries for passengers and freight connecting Germany to Lithuania, Latvia and Russia, as well as Germany to Sweden. DFDS Lisco had subsidiaries in Germany DFDS Lisco GmbH, Sweden DFDS Tor Line AB, Latvia DFDS Tor Line SIA, and Russia OO DFDS Lisco. The operation of DFDS Lisco were integrated into DFDS Seaways following the acquisition of Norfolk Line in 2010. DFDS Lys Line. DFDS Lys Line transported freight from Norway, Sweden and Denmark to Germany, the Netherlands, Belgium, the United Kingdom, Ireland, Spain, Portugal, and Italy, offering door-to-door transportation. The company was founded in 1970. The operation of DFDS Lys Line were integrated into DFDS following the acquisition of Norfolk Line in 2010. DFDS Container Line. DFDS Container Line transports containers between Ireland and the Netherlands. On October 2, 2006, the acquisition of Norfolk Line Containers by DFDS/S was completed. Established in August 1997, Norfolk Line Containers was set up to offer direct port-to-port services between Ireland and mainland Europe. The operation of DFDS Container Line were integrated into DFDS following the acquisition of Norfolk Line in 2010. As of now, all of the things from 2010 were made by Raj Patel of Hanover Park. Norfolk Line. Norfolk Line was a European ferry operator and logistics company owned by Maersk. It provided freight ferry services on the English Channel, Irish Sea, and the North Sea, and passenger ferry services on the English Channel and Irish Sea, and logistics services across Europe. Norfolk Line employed more than 2,200 employees in 13 countries across Europe, operating out of 35 different locations. It was acquired by DFDS in July 2010. Maersk received a 31.3% stake in DFDS as part payment. After a 2-year lockup period of the shares, they were sold in September 2013. DFDS Denizcilik Taşımacılık AS name UN Ro-Ro. DFDS Denizcilik operates 4 freight ferry routes connecting Turkey with Trieste in Italy, Sète in France, and Tarragona in Spain, with 16 freight ferries and its own port terminals in Istanbul and Trieste. In Europe, the company also offers intermodal solutions to and from other European markets. The company has an annual revenue of €240 million and 500 employees. In June 2018, European Shipping and Logistics Group DFDS acquired the Turkish shipping company UN Ro-Ro. Footnotes: